Oh gosh, you left YouTube on autoplay again, didn't you? So, how's hole-in-one golf, huh? I know how to play, golf. Wait, what? Amateur single... I didn't realize my bed life was gonna be called into question in this game. Oh, yeah, okay, well, I definitely understand all of this. Okay, yep, yeah, okay. This is fine. It's fine. It's fine. Player 2's what? Okay guys, I'm gonna come clean. I've only played half a dozen or so games of actual golf. They were laden with laughable failure and the quiet but unmistakable sensation of being judged by my grandfather from a short distance away. That being said, I was really surprised that during my initiation into Hal's Hole-in-One Golf, I actually found myself drawing on everything my grandfather had taught me just to understand the game. So without further ado, let's jump into Hal's Hole-in-One Golf. The game starts off presenting us with about 6 game modes. They're all played on the same 18 holes, but have a few differences. I mean, overall it's just golf, but stroke play tallies every stroke on each hole, giving you a grand total at the end, whereas match play grades you based on each hole individually, meaning you get a point for each hole. Tournament play is identical to stroke play, except the game acts as if there are 60 other players, each with their own score. Honestly, it's kind of pointless because the attendees are simulated, and you never even see them. They're just a block of numbers and a stroke count. It's not that exciting and it feels pretty fake. Each of these 3 game modes support 1 to 4 human players. Verse Hal is just match play against a single AI computer named Hal. Practice is pretty self-explanatory. Lastly, there's Memory Shot, and it's kind of a neat feature that lets you rewatch hole-in-ones, eagles, or albatrosses if you happen to get them, by giving you a code to put into the game to make it show up again. I did not get any of these kinds of shots, so I never got to use this feature. Encompassing all of these game modes are 3 levels of difficulty, whose names maybe make more sense to those more familiar with golf than I am. I don't know what these mean. During your journey through the 18 holes, you'll encounter simulated effects of elevation, which you can look at further detail on a separate menu if the top-down view is not clear enough. You'll also deal with wind, water hazards, sand traps, and trees as you aim for each of the holes. Aiming is pretty standard, but you'll need to time a slider to give your shot power and accuracy. You can even put a slice on your ball should you so choose, so that when you hit it, it bounces in a different direction when it lands. But this isn't really that much more exciting than watching grass grow, and aside from club choice, which we'll touch on in a bit, that's pretty much the total sum of the entire game. Versus Hal is probably the mode you'll spend the most time on, mostly because it's the only one that actually feels like it has a clear-cut goal, which is to beat Hal. Hal is a fairly competent AI, even on the lower difficulty, but this is partially due to his clubs bending the rules in his favor. They're just technically better than yours. His strongest driver can hit the ball 20 yards farther than yours can, and while 20 might not sound like a lot, it's a serious advantage when it comes to clearing hazards or setting up better shots later on in a hole. If you do manage to beat him though, he'll tell you that if you enter in Metal Play as your name, you can use his clubs, which is mildly amusing. Speaking of clubs, you do have your choice of the standard golf selection, and this is where a bit of the game's rewarding strategy can come from. Your drivers are best when hitting off flat green and onto flat green, with no obstruction in between. The irons have a nice balance of distance and loft, and are great for when your ball is in the rough, or if you need it to get some air to clear a hazard. Wedges don't hit the ball very far, but pop it up into the air, which is useful for navigating difficult elevation over short distances, or getting your ball out of a sand trap. And of course last is the putter, which is used exclusively on the green. A lot of people call golf the world's most uninteresting sport, and they're not entirely wrong. But hey, if you're going to play Hal's Hole-in-One Golf, you do need to apply these basic principles of club selection logic to the game if you want to be any good at it, so it's something worth paying attention to. That being said, I just can't recommend this game, giving it a tier 3. And it's not because it's a sports game, it's because it's a boring game. There's just not a lot to do within it. After acquiring Hal's metal clubs, you have nothing left to achieve. There's nothing to work towards, there's no story or characters or leagues, there's just you and the same 18 holes over and over and over again. Even though the game has 5 game modes, they're all just different vehicles to the same game, and the game itself just isn't that exciting. It actually makes me sad. Sports games don't have to be boring. There's a couple of them out there that are a lot of fun. This may sound crazy, but have you ever played Mario Tennis Power Tour for the Game Boy Advance? That game is awesome! It's filled with unique characters, an ongoing plot, and a sense of progression that is incredibly rewarding. It's easily one of the best GBA games I've ever played, and it's a game about tennis. That's not exactly a topic that often gets described as exciting and rewarding, but there you have it. HAL's Hole-in-One Golf, on the other hand, let's just say that the company HAL is better known for Kirby and Smash Bros. For a reason. If you like golf and the SNES, I don't know, give this a shot. It's harmless, it's got upbeat music, it's pretty clear what's going on the screen, and the controls are nice, but it's probably not something you're interested in. Oh well. This is Chezni at SNES Legacy saying, hey, if you happen to have any memory shot codes of your own HAL's Hole-in-One Golf exploits, and you're willing to share them, go ahead and send them over to me so I can watch them, because that would just be hilarious. Signing off.